Well, good afternoon, everybody. It is another Freelance Friday. This is our second edition. My name's Ethan Carter. And this afternoon, we are spending some time with Sarah Wantz from Wantz Events, who is a very experienced and capable freelancer in Chicago and nationally as well. Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Hey Ethan, I'm good. How are you?
I'm well. You look spectacular today. I put a lot of effort into my hair, but you've really showing me up. I don't know how you do it. It looks great.
Thank you so much. My first time getting ready in weeks, so I thought I should just really do it up.
Do you do that kind of look when you're going out to new clients or new events? Is it always
Usually,
on point?
this is like my signature hairstyle with the clamp-free curl wand. This is usually what I go with.
Hey, look at this, some at-home techniques, everybody. But we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about your work as a freelancer in today's world, in today's market. And you sort of also, you work in two ways in the sense you work directly for clients, but also as a contractor to agencies and work as a piece of their team or an arm of their team to deliver on events, which is fantastic. You have that versatility, I think, in what you're doing. And you've been doing this now for, is it 5 years?
So I started my company 4 years ago, this month actually. But prior to that, I had been in the industry and doing events in different capacities for an additional 6 years. So it's been over 10 years.
Oh, wow. So, yeah, you've definitely got quite a bit of experience under your belt. So, I understand, obviously, why you would have been on, I think it was Fox 32 a few weeks ago, and you had an opportunity to speak there to an audience and obviously talk about how things have changed now in, the face of this global pandemic. And obviously, you were sort of speaking a lot about postponing and rescheduling in that. But you also mentioned the plan to move forward. What do we do next? And I think a lot of people in terms of planning events are at that stage now. They're sort of thinking, okay, so where do we go from here? How far in advance? So from your side, from people that you're talking to, what are maybe 3 or 4 of those next steps to keep the event happening and do it again in the future or hold it in the future?
Sure. I think first it's finding a realistic new date for that postponement. So like you said, everything has been a big push for postpone, don't cancel. So what is the realistic time frame that events are going to start moving forward? So I've listened to a lot of webinars and heard industry experts speaking on when we think this is going to happen. And it feels like maybe in the fall, people will be ready to kind of dip their toes. Maybe events will be a little conferences and bigger events coming back. And some of the steps I think that are going to be necessary are a variety of what I'm calling sanitation stations. I think people will need to see the steps that you're taking. I think it's really valuable, of course, to also communicate it in advance. So in the email blast that you're sending out, on the invite, sharing with people what you're going to be doing to make them safe on site at that event. And then, like I said, having it be visible. And, event planners are creative, tying in something cute. I think we're going to see a lot of branded merchandise companies doing little hand sanitizers with, the client's logo on them. Things like that, little giveaways for guests. And then, like I said, keeping them informed. And then I think also researching different event insurance policies. I've heard a lot of different things right now about what's applicable. So I think just really reviewing the insurance, reviewing the contracts, having an understanding with your vendors. We don't know what the future is going to hold exactly in the next month, 3 months, 6 months. So I think those strong relationships with all of your vendors and your venue and understanding, hey, if there's a second wave of this, what's the policy going to be? Can we change our date again? So I think just having those strong relationships and understanding and everybody kind of working together, because we are all in this together, just trying to figure it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, so it's really about finding a realistic new date. The communications are transparent, they're frequent, everybody knows what's going on, and really use the resources of your network and keep everybody informed and as you say, work together because we are doing this together. Okay, so that's excellent. From the 10 years of doing, being in the event space, what's the thing, and now that you've got your own company working as a freelancer, what is the thing that you like most? Or what are the best things about working as a freelancer, whether it's for a client direct or with an agency?
Sure. So some things I really enjoy about the freelance work that I do with agencies is that when you go off and start your own business, something that you don't realize or people don't really tell you is that you start this business because it's something that you love. So I want to start an event planning company because I love planning events. But then once you start a company doing it, less of your time becomes devoted to that actual thing. So let's say now 25% of your time is planning events and the other 75% is accounting, managing the finances, marketing, business development. And when you work with an agency, in my experience, it's really great because one, you get to work on really large scale projects and they come to you and say, here's the project, here's your role. And then you just kind of dive right in and spend 3 months, 6 months, however long. And you're just doing that piece that you love so much, which is producing that event planning, you're on site. So that's one thing I really have enjoyed about the freelance work.
Right. So when you're working for yourself, you've got to do all of the business management aspects of it, of running your own business. But within the agency, you can really work within the skill set or your strengths. For example, your background in visual merchandising and working in that kind of space to apply it into the creative elements of producing events.
Right. You can really just focus on producing the actual event and you don't have to deal with, negotiating the contract and the SOW and all of the things that come with getting to even produce that event. So that's really nice. And another thing I like is that you get to be part of a big team again, because when you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, you have a small business, it can get kind of lonely. But when you work with an agency, all of a sudden now there might be 30 people on the team. And one, you get a lot of great resources out of that. They have so many different specific teams for each thing, spatial design, graphic design, marketing, signage. So it's nice to get to work with all of those different groups and you have a lot of resources at your fingertips. And also I've made a lot of really great friendships in connecting and working with those people over the course of many months for each project.
Excellent. And it widens your network as well.
Right. Yeah, definitely. And you learn a lot. I mean, from these agencies that I've worked with, when I've worked on, a conference for 4,000 people, that might not be something that a boutique firm like myself would do directly. So I've really learned a ton from these agencies that I've been lucky enough to work with.
Okay, that's excellent because, I think we always respond to visual stimulation. We know from marketing and communication and things like this, imagery and visual stimulation has the greatest impact. And so you're working to having people being immersed in that through the engagement of what you create from a visual standpoint. And that goes back into, I think, your background in visual merchandising and decor and things like that from a retail perspective. But you've obviously translated that into what you're doing, creating events. So tell me a little bit about how you utilize that and what strengths you play to when you're pitching a client with that need.
Sure. So I had studied consumer and textile marketing in college, which was fashion from more of a business perspective. And some of my first jobs were visual merchandising. I worked for a fashion company based in Chicago. And then I did events for Macy's corporate across the Midwest. So I did a lot of fashion events in addition to live cooking demos with celebrity chefs and book signings and things like that. So I think I kind of pull from each of those experiences, which helps me to be comfortable doing a wide range of different types of events. And certainly just kind of having an eye, hopefully, I think, for what looks good together, what's just trying to kind of visualize how you're going to bring an entire concept to life. So I think all of those different jobs that I had and getting to experience and work on so many different events makes me feel confident helping put that together.
Excellent. Yeah, there's something about that conception of an idea that is initially words, and then through your own creative skills and understanding different textiles and mediums and all this kind of stuff, you can then help sort of build it and grow it until it is realized. So I think it's a really cool skill that you have. Quite jealous. And I guess in the nonprofit world, I mean, within fundraisers and things like that, they also like to have that element. It's not just in the corporate environment, it's in nonprofit, it's in retail, that usually they're really working with these visual extravaganzas. But however, now in the nonprofit space, for example, you know, things are going to be a little bit tighter for them, especially as they are a philanthropic group. And you work a lot with non-profit organizations. So what's the game plan right now for people that you're speaking with?
So we do work with a variety of nonprofits, and like you said, it's really hard because everything comes down to fundraising and financials for nonprofits. That's the whole point, is for them to raise money. So, and a big part of doing that, of course, is through events and different activities that people can be face to face. So we are kind of reworking some strategies. We have a nonprofit event in November, which is an annual dinner. And previously, the concept is at a mansion. It's a mansion party. People sit close together. It's family style food. So some of those things now we need to rethink, because people aren't going to be comfortable sitting too close to their neighbor. They're not going to want to be touching all of the same food and utensils as other people. So I think it's really just analyzing the concept that generally that nonprofit might do annually, and thinking, okay, what are people going to be comfortable with? If our goal is still to get 100 people here, 500 people here, how can we do that, and how can we still make them feel comfortable? So I think just maybe reworking the concept, you know, for this year, maybe early next year, you're just going to have to kind of shift. So I think people have to realize that and be comfortable with that if they want to still move forward with those events, which we hope that they do.
Sure. Do you think these sorts of events that are more likely going to be dinner events, for the most part, would they also be hybrid in nature? A lot of meetings and conferences are sort of like creating that virtual and in-person kind of concept for further down the line. Do you think that's something that a fundraiser event would potentially be as well?
Definitely. I almost think it lends better to nonprofit fundraising, because they're used to kind of being scrappy and doing those unique, fun, one-off things, you know, like how they do a spin class and everybody comes in and the donation goes to the nonprofit. So maybe you're at home, you're videoing your workout, you're doing it as a Zoom group, but you're putting a donation to the nonprofit. Maybe you're having a sommelier host and you send a bottle of wine to each person, and then it's a group that's doing a tasting together, and then they paid a per person ticket fee. So I definitely think there's a lot of creative things that can be done virtually, almost even more so, like I said, for nonprofits and for those smaller one-off events, just to keep your audience engaged.
That's cool. I think there's probably a few people that are going to find that really beneficial to their plans, for sure. I've got one more question that just popped into my head, actually. And seeing as perhaps a number of people aren't as experienced at this as you are, because you've been working from home for a number of years and you're a work-at-home mom. So what's your trick? How do you make it work?
I wish I had a lot of tricks that I could share with you. It's incredibly difficult right now. You know, I definitely feel for all the parents out there. Our baby just turned 1 this week. So it's certainly unique, because normally we had childcare. So then I could work from home and I could kind of, excuse me, I could kind of take a peek at the baby and check in. But right now it's really just trading off with my husband of, okay, I'm going to work from these hours, I'm going to have calls at this time, and then kind of switching. So yeah, I think the trick is you just need some type of support system, or you really have to stick to a schedule. Like time management is definitely a skill that all event planners are very well versed in, I think. But this is a different level of time management. It's like, okay, if I know I have 60 minutes to get as much done as possible, it really forces you to hit the ground running and get everything done that you possibly can. So I think it all comes back to time management, I guess.
That's right. And allowing enough time to make your hair look as fantastic as yours.
Right. I have to give at least 15, 20 minutes for that.
Thanks so much, Sarah. It's been great to get to know you a bit today. Really enjoy it. And I hope to see you again very soon.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me.
Excellent. Thanks. Have a great weekend, everybody.